Gremlins! Today I'm continuing to work on making unique t-shirts for the Halloween sale I'm planning. I also now have a date in mind to post all these shirts I'm making to Etsy. If all goes to plan, these shirts, as well as the others I'm working on, will be posted to my Etsy on October 3rd. Today, I have 2 more shirts I'm going to paint, and both have a cat-themed design. I don't have anything more to say, so let's get started. The first design I'm working on today is a 3-eyed black cat design, and here is the rough sketch I created when brainstorming. I tried to show off the sketch on the shirt as well, but the pencil lines do not show up on camera at all, so I'll just move right along to the painting. This shirt is bright green and a size extra large. This time, since the majority of the design is darker than the shirt fabric, I didn't bother with any white or pale base, and got started right away with black paint. Almost all of this cat is black, with some dark grey on her chest to provide a bit of variety. I left blank space for the inner ears, the nose, and the 3 eyes. As I mentioned in the last video, there is something about things having more eyes than they should that I'm drawn to. I've wanted to create a shirt with a 3-eyed something for a while. A while ago, I wanted to make a shirt where a 3-eyed creature whose eyes look like moons blocked out the stars. However, I never found a shirt base I wanted, and eventually moved on from that idea. Although maybe I'll eventually make it. I also gave the character I drew in my Cryptid Core video a shirt with a 3-eyed deer. I was hoping that because I'm painting with black on a lighter coloured shirt, I would only have to give the cat 1 layer. However, trying to blend the black fur with dark grey fur made the transition patchy, and I had to give it a 2nd layer to fix that. On the 2nd layer, I started with the grey, while the paint was still wet. On the 2nd layer, I extended the grey further than I wanted it to be visible on the final product, then layered black back over that to get a smooth final look. I then turned the cat from a smooth black blob to a furry animal, with lots of short brush strokes in light grey and black. Also, I haven't shown my painting and filming setup before, but here is the current situation. When filming, the phone I'm using as a camera is laid on the table filming down, and I'm sitting right next to the table working under it. The 2 chairs on top of each other are very precariously blocking out a patch of sun. Finally, I got to add colour. The only colour present in this graphic is on the cat's face, in the ears, nose, eyes, and mouth. I started with the pink inner ears and nose. While waiting for that first layer of pink to dry, I began to colour in the eyes. Going into this project, I didn't know yet what colour eyes to give this cat. I ended up digitally colouring the eyes 8 different times, including both heterochromic eyes and eyes that were all the same colour, and getting some opinions from some friends and family members. They helped me decide to give the cat bright yellow eyes, and that was definitely the right choice. The one downside to using yellow is that my yellow paint is the least opaque paint I own, so it took a lot of layers to fully cover the green fabric beneath it. The final touches to this design were the white fangs and whiskers, and the slitted black pupils in the eyes. I'll show this finished shirt at the end, but now onto the second cat-themed design. For this design, I knew I wanted to draw a skeleton cat, but not how to draw it. I filled an entire page in my sketchbook with different cat poses, some of which worked better than others, then chose a cat stretching for the final design. Here's the basic shirt I'm painting, and here's the sketch on that shirt. This shirt is dark grey and a size small. This design has 2 colours, pure black for the silhouette of the cat's body, and pure white for the cat's bones. I started with the black, because I thought it would be easier to work on the bones after the black outlines were in place. I started with the head, outlining around the skull, and filling in the parts of the cat that have no bones, like the ears, solid black. I used a small brush for this whole process, carefully outlining each bone. I didn't have a reference image while I was painting, but I did when sketching the skeleton onto the shirt. I don't know if the skeleton is 100% accurate, but it's better than some Halloween skeletons, since the ears don't have bones. And in my opinion, the skeleton vibes are more important than total anatomy accuracy. The hardest parts of the skeleton to figure out and draw were the paws. I ended up leaving the paws for last before doing my best to suggest the ideas of carpals and phalanges, rather than drawing each bone perfectly. I was going to paint the 2nd layer of black next, then realized that if I fill in the white bones next, I can fix any mistakes I make with the white paint with a 2nd layer of black. So I started using white paint, starting from the tail to let the tiny amount of black I just used dry before reaching the skull. I tried my best to keep the white within the black lines I already gave myself, but in some places I did overlap my paint, so my plan to do a final layer of black last is a good plan. I painted the tail bones, I think they're vertebrae, first, then began to paint the leg bones. Even with just half a skeleton painted, I think it's looking really good. Of course, the white will need a 2nd coat to make it opaque. When painting the ribs, I decided to fill in more ribs than I had in the sketch. In the sketch, I obscured parts of the ribcage with the silhouette of the arms. However, with everything filled in black, that made it look like one of the ribs was cut short. With the white, I overlapped that black to finish the rib and avoid that issue. I started working on the 2nd layer on a different day, and the lighting is very different. It was a mostly cloudy day, so I didn't think I had to work in the shade, but that meant the video was both brighter overall, and occasionally the sun would peek through and show shadows and make the shirt even more overexposed. I tried my best to correct that in editing, but it isn't perfect. I started the 2nd layer of white with the tail again. There isn't really a lot to say about the process, I'm just doing the same thing over again, so I'll speed through this a bit. You may have noticed that I create a lot of bone-related clothing on my channel. There's another bone-themed shirt coming out next week as well. I really like bones and the aesthetic of death and decay. The first custom clothing I ever painted for myself was an overgrown goat skull. I just really like drawing bones and skeletons. Finally, I started painting the final layer of black, being extra careful around the white bones to give them nice, clean outlines. This layer was the easiest to paint, even though I had to go slowly and carefully. The paint already on the shirt made it smoother to add more to. No paint was soaking through into the fabric. There was only one point where I got black paint on the bones, and it was easy enough to cover with another layer of white. With that, both these shirts are done. I ironed them, and now it's time for the reveal footage. I'm so proud of the two shirts I created in this video. This one is a black cat. I love black cats, they're my favorite type of cat. Technically I prefer black cats with green eyes, but I figured the yellow eyes would provide a better contrast on the green background. This shirt is an extra large and will be available on my Etsy store on October 3rd, and I really enjoyed making it. Then this shirt, once again, the second shirt I made in a video, was my favorite out of the two. I'm just so happy with this shirt. I love how the cat skeleton turned out. This shirt is a size small, and also will be available on my Etsy store on October 3rd. Follow me on YouTube and on Instagram to hear updates about the Halloween drop. And until next week, where I'll be painting the final two shirts that will be posted on this particular Halloween drop, bye!